All right, so let's dive into this call review. Just to give a little bit of background for people who are watching, this is one of the fitness offers, and what I'm doing is just giving just some sort of brief overview. They pretty much send daily reviews of the ones that feel that we're close, and so what we do is end up, having a car review. And I want to do this live just so you guys can get a good perspective of, how this actually works and what's going on. So with these calls, specifically with this closer, everything with the pitch or everything with the discovery is doing really well. Then the pitch is doing pretty well. And it's just the objection handling process. So we'll dive into what looks like. He gave me some notes saying that I believe she had to buy a house, and then they finish up the call somewhere else. I think they had a follow-up call, and then she said she couldn't do it. And the objection started around minute 27. So let's dive in. And let me put this 1.5x just so it's not too quick.
I'm going to answer right this second because you did a long pause.
Correct. I was looking for the answer.
Mike is showing me I need to answer something.
So just for perspective, he just said the pitch.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the price.
You're saying what do I want to do? Is that what you're asking me right now?
Correct.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. I have to look at
So first glance, her reaction, very genuine, just more fearful, right? So in my head, I'm thinking on this call, she's probably a bit frantic, right? So if she's a bit frantic, a little anxious, a lot of energy kind of going everywhere, it seems like she wants to do it, but it's just calming her down. Just being like, no worries. I always like using the words, no worries. That makes sense. No pressure, just kind of guiding her to just calm down, being frantic. Because if you go too right off the bat, like, hey, like you should be doing this, you should be doing this, she's just gonna run away. Right. So let's kind of bring this around again.
Want to?
That's just my brain where I'm sharing. Like that's my strategy I would go to.
I'm moving this month and my budget's tight. So it probably have to be next month, but that you don't like that decision because that's not right here right now.
You see a very genuine person. She's like, yeah, I know you want me to do it right now.
No, so I hear you. Okay. And are you moving within within the area? Just curious.
Yeah. So I'm moving. I'm actually supposed to move in 2 days. So I have two rents this month, and then I'm moving and all that costs and all that fun stuff. So but it's still in Charlotte. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. No, so I definitely understand that. And I mean, so from one, I can tell you are definitely serious about this, and it's more so. Well, so in terms of everything that does come with the program, right? So again, the blueprint itself, the accessibility of the coaches, the accountability, everything sounds good.
Good. Double tie down, isolating what the objection is. No worries. So everything makes sense, but it's just the fact that finances could be a little tight. Is that correct? And you're moving, and that can kind of, it shifts a lot of things with finance. Is that correct? It's like, yeah, that's correct. Okay, and then open wallet. But I think you do something different, slightly different.
It's just more so like financially, given the fact that you're moving, it could be a little difficult to make that portion happen. Okay. And would it be more so that the $2,000 up front would be just a bit too difficult right now?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, we typically do that $2,000 up front for a couple of reasons. For one, the buy-in is just significant, right? So one,
good isolation, right? You rarely get what the objection is.
when someone goes ahead and makes that investment into themselves, they got that sort of skin in the game. We tend to see that those individuals end up having the best results because from the get-go, they are just committed, right? And on top of that, those same people aren't having to worry about any payments further down the line, right? With that being said, again, with someone,
I probably wouldn't say that. I would like it's just adding more fire to the fuel of her being frantic. I would just be like, no worries. Well, in these situations, what we typically do, you see my tonality, right? From what I'm talking right here to no worries, totally makes sense. I totally understand where you're coming from. Put the guard down. In these situations, open wallet. What I typically like to do is we could probably work together as a team and just understand the numbers together and kind of see how we can work this out. Does that sound like a fair plan? I mean, like, I don't want you to lose your spot because we can't guarantee that the spots will be open, but we can just maybe work something out that could maybe be a little bit more feasible. Is that something you're open to? You see how I'm just like encouraging to work with her. Not saying like, well, we do this because of that, right? Every like inch in these type of frantic moments for her counts.
that is definitely serious about this, and sometimes it's just the timing or circumstances could make that $2,000 payment a bit difficult. We never want that to be a hurdle from someone getting to that end desired goal working with us. So if it's something that would make it more doable for you today, we could do something where we just come up with like a payment plan, maybe split up the payments, right? So instead of doing that $2,000,
yeah, you see, like it's kind of like playing poker and showing your hands. You already showed, like, now you're in a disadvantage because you showed your hand of payment plans. you should do the open wallet first, so then you have advantage.
Just up front. It could be like 500 today, and then 500 a month for the duration of the 16 weeks, if that would be more doable for you.
Mhm. It would. It would. I know you need me to answer shit. Why you gotta put me on the spot like this, man?
You say genuine person.
we like working with people that are serious about it, as I mentioned before.
I know. It's your job. I just giving you a hard time.
Gotcha.
Sorry. Okay. So if I say, let me look at my budget and all that, and that was it would be 2,500, correct?
Correct.
Why you gotta do that to me, man? I'm just messing with you. Okay.
So when somebody always asks like questions, it shows that they're actually interested. So it's just, it's just pushing a little bit over the hump to get her to actually commit. And again, for her, it's frantic energy, but we'll probably see a little bit more what it really is.
This is me being wise, because I would usually jump in.
Nice.
I need to see if I can make my budget work for the next couple months.
You see like it's getting closer, and then she goes, but I want to see what my budget is. So the payment plan didn't really matter. You have to understand her numbers to logically make her feel like she's okay.
It's really hard for me.
Okay, I hear you. And so at this point, again, because especially if it's a concern about making the budget work,
Mhm.
I would obviously love to save you the discounted rate.
Again, you don't have to be like react. You don't have to react to it. Just be like, no worries. Well, work as a team.
Right.
Mhm.
If it helps, I mean, I do have some time here. We can just maybe like go over things like on this call, so we can kind of crunch some things, see if it works, see if it makes sense. And then from there, after we spend a couple minutes doing that, if it works, it works. And then if not, obviously maybe like down the line. Right. So
What do you mean by
I guess,
crunch some things? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well,
Okay, go.
so for example, like what are you bringing in monthly right now?
You see the type of tonality there. It's like too on the offense, too much, like a little assertive, too much. Just be like, no worries. Well, what we can do, like, but you see how, like, you always wanted to open wallet first, and then the payment plans, if it makes sense, because we'll see the numbers now, and then you can't really challenge her. It's kind of like trying to go back and challenge somebody after you already gave them like the plan. So it's just kind of awkward for me, to be honest.
Like 4,600, I think, maybe.
40. Okay. And then wait, so 1 second. Okay, so about 4,600 right now monthly. And then what is your income?
I made that up. It's not right. 42, I think. Clearly,
Okay.
I know.
What is your income after expenses?
Oh, you fucking know that. I was I was doing makeup.
Even that tonality, it's just being like, hey, like, and cool, 4,200. And what would you say after would make,
Number, but I can't even do that. Mhm. When you say expenses, do you mean everything?
Yeah. So rent, car note, kind of. I mean, just those main expenses that end up taking up a portion of what you're bringing monthly.
I have an app. Hold on. Let me pull up my app. I use every dollar. It's great. Oh, it's not signed in. I think right now, what I have left to spend is like $350, because I have stupid debt on my taxes. I have a really expensive dog. Never didn't know if I told you that, but she's really fun. If I remember right, it's $350.
Okay. And then do you have access to credit?
Yes, but I don't like debt, so I don't want to do that.
I hear you.
As I'm in debt for my taxes, but to my parents, in my defense.
And then I guess in terms of like accessible savings, what does that look like?
I think it's like 5,000. Or am I just supposed to say accessible? Oh gosh, which one was it? Did you need the exact amount, or like, yeah, I have it?
I mean, you already gave me 5,000.
I already gave it to you. At this point, there's no turning back.
You see how it's like with this, it's kind of just knowing like what the numbers are. I still think your tonality is a little bit too direct. She didn't really give you income after expenses. Like, this is where you can get really, you can isolate a lot, right? You can you go, okay, in regards to your monthly income was out, okay, 4,200, income after expenses 350. Okay, just so I'm aware, so you spend about 3,900 every month, is that correct? She might be like, oh, no, well, I'm just saying this month, but typically it's 1,000, right? You can kind of squeeze in something there too. And then credit, it's, she says, I don't like using credit. No worries, but what access to credit do you have? Right. And then it's kind of this game of like, you guys know what's going on, like, okay, like, that you can make this work, so on and so forth, but let's kind of see what happens.
Yeah, have it.
So I guess, and obviously the decision is going to be yours, but I mean, given the some of the money that we have after expenses, the 5,000 that we have in savings, and then the access to credit, whether you want to use credit or not. It does.
Right. You have more power if you know the number of the access to credit. Oh, I don't usually use access to credit. No worries. What's kind of that range that you have? It could be like a couple thousand. Yeah, cool. Is it around 2 to 3K, 4 to 5K, 7 to 8K? Like when you mean a couple thousand can be a lot of many things. Yeah, it's around 5 to 6. Okay, is it around like 5 or 6? It's like, oh, 5. And then what would you say you have access to compared to like your limit? It's like, yeah, I have about like 3K access. You see how much you can like get a little bit more. You can isolate that more, just like you try to like get the pain out of somebody. It's the same thing, you get the numbers out of somebody, and then that holds more weight. It's like, okay, so you have 1,500 after expenses plus an extra 3K and then 5K in savings. So if I'm doing the math correctly, you have about 8K right now and then 1,500 every month. Is that correct? It's like, yeah. Okay. Just so I'm a little bit aware, I know you're moving between places. Is there any reason why, if you have, and again, you do it a nice way, right? Any reason why it wouldn't work for you for like the 2K, right? You're not even showing the cards of like the payment plans, and be like, objection, right? And then this objection could be something along the lines of like, yeah, I'm just moving. Yeah, that makes sense. But now you have the numbers. But and then if they say, yeah, I'm just spending XYZ on moving, it's like spending 5K on moving. It's like, okay, so you have 3K right now, right? You put in the crunching numbers and 1.5K every month. Is that correct? It's like, yeah. It's like, any reason why 2K wouldn't work? It's like, well, I like having savings still. It's like, totally makes sense. You can try to battle that. But you can just be like, no worries. Well, we can do 1,000 today and 1,000 30 days. It's not going to put any dent because you're still going to be making your income after expenses. And it's only, you still have more enough savings to make you feel like, everything makes sense. And then they're going to be like, the real fear is going to come. Yeah, just something's going to come out of nowhere.
It seemed like we at least have enough where whether or not you want to do the payment in
See
full
what
itself,
happens.
or you did want to go ahead and just do the split payments. Again, I know that you have some other stuff coming up, so I understand both those options, even though we don't necessarily make those options available to everybody. I do, use some deliberation when I do know that someone is serious about this. It's just more so something that is financial, right? So, so given some of the funds that we have access to, it does seem like it's something that we could definitely do. So are you wanting?
You see how you're almost like forcing her? It's more just asking, like, is there any reason why it wouldn't work?
To go ahead and do the payment in full, or would you rather go ahead and do the split payment?
You can't like assume them. You have to ask them.
Well, if I said yes, it'd be a split payment, and I know you want me to make a decision, and I know it's supposed to show how
you're going to get a little bit of objections here.
serious I am. I am going to put my foot down, and then you're not going to like it, but it's fine. This is a love-hate relationship. And say I need to think about it.
There's no hate coming from my end.
Oh,
so
no,
if that's how you feel about me.
I'm just kidding. I do need to process and decide because once again, I've made $4,000. Not that you need to know, or not that I need to justify myself, but I made decisions about like $4,000 to $5,000, and later down the road regretted it. Not saying I regret this, and I know I'll lose out on $500, but I do need to think about it.
Okay, boom. All right, this is okay. So now you're getting a little bit closer. Again, you're going down the road of where you should be at, and you kind of got where you're at. It could have been a little bit more cleaned up, right? But yeah. So basically, where you want to get to now, you got the actual objection, right? So you're going down the road. It was a little bumpy, but you got the objection. This is where you go a little bit deeper. Okay. So you did mention that 4 or 5K you spent, and then it was you did regret it. I know you say you didn't regret this, but like, is that something you have to think about specifically, like kind of spending money and not knowing if it will work for you? Or like, what do you feel like is kind of going on there?
So, okay, fair enough. I hear you. And obviously, no one likes getting burned. So I definitely understand that. Like, getting burned is obviously the worst. Is it more so less about the finances and then more about like, I guess maybe fear if this program itself is something that's going to work for you?
No,
she's gonna say no, but there's some smoke screen.
More fear of like, is this what I need right now? Because I mean, if it was just like, yeah, like finances don't scare me. I get stressed about them, but it's more like, is this the best thing for me now? Not that this program isn't it. It's just like I sometimes jump the gun because in the moment, I'm like, I need this now. And so this is me working on my responsibility of like, okay, what is the best thing for me in my next step? And so,
and this is good, right? You're getting the fear out, or you're getting the actual emotions.
Like money, we're just going into counseling at this point.
Which is good, right? Because you really get to understand where she's at. Okay. Well, again, I think you took this objection and maybe you missed this portion.
Just getting raw. So you're welcome. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. And so I definitely hear that again, especially after being burned in the past. It can be it can be, again, as we talked about, wise to make sure that we aren't making any sort of just maybe rash decisions about something that would definitely burn you, right? What I would say is that, for one, I know you mentioned the importance of having a sort of accountability when it comes to something like this, and without having that accountability, things can obviously either not change, right? Because I don't really believe that we ever kind of stay stagnant. I think either improving or you're regressing. I think that, I mean, that's the reality of things. But again, as I mentioned, this does come with a guarantee, right? So at the very least, right, it's not that you go ahead and invest in this and then from that moment your money's gone regardless. If we do spend some time in the program, and again, it does seem like it's not working out for you, or again, for whatever reason, this doesn't seem like it's a good fit, that money is refundable for you. So I do think that since
again, a little bit too, I would probably ask one more question, just be like, no worries, totally makes sense. Is there any reason why you don't feel like right now is a good time for you? Right? You want to make it more personal, right? Because like you're kind of talking to her, you're like saying like, well, this is this and this is this versus, okay, well, I'm understanding where you're at. Like, why wouldn't this be the right time for you? And she's gonna say, well, and then you can just use her own, of what she said in the discovery process and be like, I mean, this, and this has been going on for 6 months. It seems like you want to do this. I mean, if you have the finances and you're going to save a little bit of money and you're going to be in an okay process, like, why wouldn't you want to do this now? And then you can also use this for a lifetime as well. I think for me, it seems like this would probably be more of a logical decision of you saving money and then using this for the long term. So it's not really like a rush decision. It's more of like, a logical decision. Would you agree? Or like, how do you feel about that? And then you kind of just like, how to like take where she's at and then, work as a team. Good call, really advanced call. I just think there's like a couple tweaking points. I think it's more of the energy of like not going towards her, but just like receiving where they are at and then kind of going on to the next portion.